So welcome to Baltic World, the premier channel discussing news and important issues facing Northern, Central and Eastern Europe. My name is Crispin and today I'm going to talk about Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, the Australian princess who recently attended a 2-day state visit to Lithuania, commemorating 100 years of bilateral ties between the two countries. Now, just to give an itinerary of her first day, this is how industrious this woman is. I'm going to read straight off a page. This is a blog by Heaven Lemillier from ofnomore.com. And it says, when she arrived in Vilnius, Crown Princess Mary was welcomed by Foreign Vice Minister Egidijus Merlunas. Now, before I go on, I really do apologize for the pronunciation of the Lithuanian names. It reads beautifully in the Latin script, but I really do need to get some training on how to interpret this because it is tongue-tying from Australians can barely speak English, let's be real. Crown Princess Mary's first official event in Vilnius was a meeting and a luncheon with the Lithuanian President and First Lady at the Presidential Palace. Crown Princess Mary then met with the President of the Lithuanian National Parliament, Victoria Milite Nielsen. Now, I have a soft spot for Victoria as an incredible grandmaster chess player, as I understand it, and also married to, I think, a Danish grandmaster. I think the most famous chess coach in the world, if I recall. The Crown Princess also met with the Lithuanian Prime Minister Ingrida Šimonytė in the government building. Afterwards, Crown Princess Mary attended the opening of the Awakening of Nations exhibition at the Vytautas Kasiulijos Art Museum, as well as the Danish-Lithuanian Art Seminar at the Lithuanian National Museum of Art. Crown Princess Mary attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Antalkinus Cemetery to honour the victims of the Lithuanian independence struggle. In the evening, Crown Princess Mary attended a gala concert to celebrate the 100th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Denmark and the Baltic countries. She ended the day with a dinner at the Danish embassy in Vilnius. I think I've stayed at the embassy, not in the embassy itself, but if I recall correctly, the embassy is located in a nice quadrangle area in Vilnius Old Town, and I had a whole B&B apartment just next door. So I could see, I was right there at the embassy. It was a really pretty place to be. When she arrived in Vilnius, Crown Princess Mary was wearing her Joseph coat and black outfit. There's a lot of kind of royal simping grouping in fashion. So if you're into all that sort of stuff, I'm sure you can look this up. But what I want to say is, first of all, how industrious she is. That was just day one. There's a whole itinerary on day two. And, we could take up the entire video just recounting all the things that she does. And she did it all by herself, completely separate from Crown Prince Frederick and, the other government officials in Denmark. In other words, she represented the government of Denmark as a whole, as an Australian-born Crown Princess. Her children, 4 children, will be eventually the monarchs of Denmark, half Australian. And she's born in Hobart, a very small city in Tasmania. And I've lived in Tasmania, a number of years, and she, remarkable, down-to-earth, very Tasmanian in my estimation in terms of personality, temperament and physicality. She met Prince Frederick during the 2000 Olympic Games. This was less than 24 hours after Kathy Freeman lit the torch, and they met at a bar in Sydney. And over the subsequent years, Prince Frederick secretly came to Australia on a number of trips to continue the romance. And so she was just an ordinary person. I mean, obviously an extraordinary individual, but not of any sort of notable royal lineages. And they just fell in love, and it was a marriage of love. And she had a bit of a tragedy just before the wedding. Her mother passed away suddenly. I think they got married in 2004 in Denmark, of course. The streets were lined with Danish and Australian flags. And, many Australiana kind of aspects to the wedding itself. I believe the chefs were all Australians, serving Australian food at the wedding ceremonies and reception. And the marriage has been incredibly successful and happy, and just one of those really non-dramatic, pleasant, wholesome family stories where she and Prince Frederick make an excellent couple. Now, when she got married to Prince Frederick, she did not speak Danish. She had to do a crash course in it. Obviously, it's now perfectly fluent, and she picked it up by all accounts really quickly. But she didn't speak Danish, and yet she was welcomed by the Danes with absolute open arms. I believe the best surveys I could find had more than 9 out of 10 people approving of the marriage at the time, and her popularity has only grown since then, both as a link with Australia and the bilateral relations between Australia and Denmark because of this royal wedding and family is warmer than it has ever been. Denmark has a very high estimation in the minds of most Australians because of that immediate link. And secondly, the reputation among the Danes for her leadership, her compassion, and her competence in representing Denmark in government affairs. So much so that the Privy Council equivalent in Denmark, with the approval of the Parliament, appointed Princess Mary, I think in 2019, what's called a ringstander, or a regent, or crown protector, if you like, Lord Protector of the realm, which means that she can represent the Danish head of state when the monarchs are out of the country. And this is an extraordinary thing to bestow on someone who isn't even born of Denmark. That's how much she's been adopted. She is now at the front and center of Danish way of life and conducting herself on her own, doing major diplomatic representations to, in this case, the Baltic countries on behalf of Denmark. And the relations between Denmark and the Baltic countries are getting closer all of the time. Certainly in the security realm, there was the new Swedish Nordic Defence Pact that I reported on that includes Denmark, of course, with the Baltic states in mind. So in terms of security cooperation, migration, all different kinds of aspects, obviously the pandemic, there's a lot of bilateral cooperation between Lithuania and Denmark and Denmark and the Baltic states more broadly. So that is going from strength to strength, and she has been leading in that role. And Princess Mary, I have a bit of a funny story when it comes to the Danish royal family myself. So I've never met Princess Mary. I haven't had that honor. I was in Hobart at one point, the same time that she was there with her new husband, and they were going on like a family trip to Tasmania. But I've never met her in person. However, my now deceased grandfather, God bless him, wonderful man, he was an absolute royal family groupish. He loved everything about the Danish royal family in particular, and Princess Mary especially. And so when she had her firstborn, the heir to the throne, Prince Christian, well, his first birthday rolled around. I remember this very clearly, and you'll see why. So I go in to see my grandfather for my birthday, okay, separate event. I'll go in to see him for my birthday. And the house is filled with streamers and balloons and everything. And I'm like, wow, my grandfather did a really great job. So I walk in, and there's a giant poster of the little baby, Prince Christian, on the wall, with a big happy birthday, Prince Christian, sort of in little streamers and things like that tied up on the wall. It turns out that Prince Christian and I share the same birthday. He remembered Prince Christian's birthday and had completely forgot mine. And then when I kind of protested, I said, this is my birthday. He said, oh, you share a birthday with Prince Christian. And I'm like, no. I'm much older than Prince Christian. He shares a birthday with your eldest grandson. So I'm not salty about that at all. But it is one of my ambitions to receive a birthday kind of card from Prince Frederick and Princess Mary to make up for the time that my own grandfather celebrated Prince Christian's first birthday, but not my own. I just remember that in mind. But my grandfather was a wonderful man. So this is a funny anecdote that I can tell with tongue in cheek, because he was an excellent individual with an extraordinary life story, which is obviously for another time, and I miss him greatly, but I still remember that moment. Anyway, so that aside, Princess Mary has been an incredible figure in terms of public life, and a very understated figure. She doesn't draw that much international attention because she's not, I guess, causing scandals and represents her country with great diligence. And we're kind of sorry as Australians to see her go in this sense, because she's done such an extraordinary job representing the Danish government. She would have made an equally positive contribution to Australian public life if that had been the choice that she made. But no, she fell in love, and the Crown Prince Frederick seems like a wonderful chap as well. So it's quite a beautiful family, and that we don't have that many good examples of just wholesome, positive, public service monarchs who are totally free of scandal, as we do currently with the Danish royal family. So that's just I don't really have much to say about that, except it's a great part of the story. The other thing I would say is Australia's relationship with Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia has also picked up a bit. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly that was recently opened, our very senior government officials sat down with counterparts of Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia in separate meetings to discuss deepening ties in the cybersecurity realm, in a global order, sort of joint security partnerships, future economic partnerships, welcoming the fact that a number of ambassadors from, I think, Lithuania will be coming to Australia soon. It was delayed by the pandemic, but they'll have permanent representation in Canberra for the first time. So it's a lot of really positive bilateral steps are growing between Australia and those countries. And the fact that Princess Mary is that link between us, obviously a native English speaker, Australian accent, it would have been very obvious to the hosts about her background. And so I'm sure there were some discussions about the relationship with Australia during that time as well. Of course, she was there representing the Danes, but nevertheless, I think that would have happened as well. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of simp for Princess Mary, I guess. She is an extraordinary figure, really positive maternal figure as well with her 4 children, as well as being an excellent representative for the Danish government. Anyway, that's all I really had for today. If you found value in this discussion, please like and subscribe. Consider sharing this video. I know this isn't a very sort of important topic, but I just, I think it's a good thing. And I'd like to point out that Australian connection with Northern Europe. So thanks very much for sitting through this, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.